spoilers for Toy Story 5. I finally watched Toy Story 5 3 weeks after it released, but I'm happy to say after finally seeing it, this film is a good one. Sure, not as great as the original trilogy, although that's very hard to beat, but not as bad as the internet was hyping it up to be. But after watching it, I don't have to say much about the movie, but I do want to do a review on the movie because Toy Story is definitely one of my favorite franchises out of the whole universe because I've grown up with these movies. I've watched Toy Story 4 when I was a bit older, and I just can't wait to see what they do more with the characters. So, a Toy Story 5 review. Why not? So I'm just going to be bringing up basically what I think is important to say about the film, talking mainly about the characters and how their stories are really good or how their inclusion was bad. But I think I ought to start off with what has to be one of my favorite parts of the movie, the buzzers. I have to say, going into this movie, I was very mad that the buzzers were going to be in it because I thought they were just going to be filler. And they were, but they delivered great emotional moments along with so many fun little tidbits that they had. I gotta say, one of the best parts of the movie for me personally was in that camping scene where we just get to see one of the buzzers get found by a family and all he gives to his other buzz is a thumbs up. It has to be one of my favorite parts of the movie so far because even though on a rewatch I'll probably find a different moment, but that just has to be my favorite bit. I did find that their lust for Star Command to be a little bit annoying and overplayed. It felt like they were just 2-year-old babies trying to look for the stars. I did enjoy how that intertwined with the movie, but it just Buzz in the original film never was that dumb, and I think that just has to be one of my tidbits about the movie that I didn't really like all too much. The story was good overall. I definitely think it took a little while for the story to pick up some steam. So once we got to Blazer's Farm, the story actually started getting way more enjoyable to watch. But before that, it kind of just dragged along and I didn't really love it so much. I think the story was definitely great in how it intertwined its characters, in how it kind of delivered this story about technology in younger kids. I think it was great to see the uses of technology in such a great way, but also see how it can harm young children, especially at that age Bonnie is at, when they have to try and fit into what they think is more popular. And that's something I think I had to say was really great about the movie, in that it made me feel for Bonnie. Now, I didn't think Bonnie was ever going to be a character that I actually liked in coming in. I definitely thought Andy was going to be my favorite owner of this, but Bonnie's story was so emotional, and being a kid that did grow up in the technology age, I definitely did enjoy the story with her and see how she was the last one to get a device, so that meant she was behind. And I've always felt like that a bit more because I was never the kid who was up to date with their technology. So when Bonnie got bullied by her friends, even though I never got bullied like Dad, I did get bullied, it got me really emotional and got me genuinely emotionally attached to her as a character. So it just was such a great inclusion to show that she can connect to people, but it's about choosing your right friends. And I think that's something that you definitely have to show these younger kids, as have an iPad or a phone or a computer at this age. And on to Lilypad, the antagonist of the story. I will say, when I heard she wasn't going to be a genuine villain, I was actually kind of really disappointed because we already had one of those, oh, she's villainous at the start, but then you get to know her and she's not that bad. I started to get really worried that she wasn't going to be such a great character and that they were pushing her as an iPad case more than anything. But I gotta say, she was actually really great. Her motivation to Bonnie was not surprising, that she just wanted Bonnie, because we've seen that a million times in the Toy Story franchise, but I liked her coming out of the movie. I definitely think it shows that kids can find a place for their devices whilst also managing their devices. Seeing how Bonnie was attached to Lilypad so much at the start of the movie, it is basically what every kid does, I feel like how she realized she wasn't helping Bonnie as much as she was hurting her. Yeah, but I don't know if there's so much I can say about talking about Lilypad until I get a rewatch of the movie, because I was never actually focusing on her. I was more focusing on Jessie. Jessie as a character was something I was very happy that the movie chose to dive more into. After her emotionally devastating backstory in Toy Story 2 to her being pushed as a side character in 3 and 4. I definitely think that Jessie as a character needed more, and her last major thing was in a horror short that they did. I definitely didn't like her complete disdain for technology, and I think overall I got past that in the movie. Overall, I think Jessie was a great decision to to include in the movie, even though I've never been a fan of Jessie as much as I've loved like Buzz, Woody, and like the side characters as much with their fun quirk. I don't know what else there is to really say about Jessie other than I loved her in this, and I think her story was really sad, but I loved the way that she kind of became Woody in a couple of instances where she is the leader of the room now because she is Bonnie's favorite toy. But on to who Jessie basically replaced, Woody. Woody sadly added nothing to the films, kind of only there to do marketing, and I think he was fun in the movie. Him and Buzz's chemistry was as great as ever, but he didn't really add anything to make his inclusion in this film feel important. I definitely think I like the way that they aged him up, showing that his fluff kind of went down a bit, showing that he's kind of balding. All I wonder is how he's ever kept that hat so long. Buzz, although he did add a bit more than Woody, he was basically put as a side character as well. I definitely didn't love the him and Jessie's romance story with him trying to build up the courage to marry her. Yeah, I think that's all for this video. So thank you guys for watching. I didn't have as much to say about Buzz and Woody as I thought I might have. I didn't really have as much to say about Jessie as well. I definitely think the film centered around Bonnie for me, and the emotional core of it centered around her. So I definitely think coming out of it, I liked her a lot more than a couple other characters. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. And if you guys want to see more from me, I do plan on doing every Toy Story review. I know I've said that about Stranger Things when season 5 was coming out, but this time I actually mean it. I have plans to do a Toy Story 1 review coming out in hopefully the next 2 months top. Subscribe and like the video if you want to see my trailer reactions or Toy Story reviews on other things, and depending on how this video goes, I will try rushing out more Toy Story videos sooner rather than later. And as always, this is Movie Nerd signing off.